I come as one, but I stand. I stand with 3,710,295,643. Do you know what that number is? That amazing number is the number of females recorded in the world at the end of 2018, representing 49.6% of the world's population. I came upon this title from the famous poem by Maya Angelou, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. I come as one, but I'm standing here representing today 50% of the world. Can you hear us? Can you see us? Can you feel what we feel? In some parts of the world, we are voiceless and unseen and forgotten human beings, and it just breaks my heart. In some parts of the world, we are seen as property to be sold, to be traded, to be used, all because we are female. Imagine the fear, the degrading feeling inside you when you're traded. In some parts of the world, we are mutilated at a very young age just because we're female. The damage that is done to young girls lasts a lifetime, not to mention the PTSD from this barbaric procedure. In some parts of the world, we're married off when we're still children. We are just developing our bodies, our hearts, but sold to marriage. Can you imagine how that must feel to be still a child and married? In some parts of the world, we are ignored, used for our services, but never given the fair pay we earned, nor the recognition we deserve. This has been a practice for centuries around this world. In some parts of the world, we are imprisoned for our thoughts and our pleas for equality. As I stand here, there are women in jail in Saudi Arabia for just that. In some parts of the world, we are raped and violated within our own families and neighborhoods. If we have the courage to report these crimes, we are often not believed. Somehow, it was our fault. And in some parts of the world, our very birth as a female is seen as a negative, something to get rid of, something to hide from the very moment we take our first breath. We are seen as less than. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Can you feel what we feel? I come as one, but I'm here claiming our human rights for equality, and in some parts of the world, our very freedom to just exist. Yes, you heard me correctly. I am claiming our right as a fellow human being. We do not have to wait in line to be asked or given our basic human rights. We must claim them, take them always, and know they are ours, even if the reality is not aligned. We have the right to be free. We have the right to be what we want to be, the right to love who we want, the right to walk down any street, any time of day without fear, the right to be paid equally for a day's work, and the right to be represented in the rooms where all the major decisions are being made, because we represent half of the world's population. Do you understand what it's like to have no real say in the laws that are made, decisions that are made, that affect every single aspect of your life, and your only reason for exclusion is you were born female? Can you see us? Can you hear us? Can you feel what we feel? Female babies come into the world like male babies, but the fundamental difference is from the moment we are born as females, the world, the entire world is actually structured for males. And so without even using language to communicate, we are thought to be separate, different, less than. And in some ways, we feel like imposters in the world. So let me explain, because this revelation really only came clear to me in the last little while. So let's go to NASA, for example. Let's see how advanced are we. You have the world's smartest people, engineers, scientists, mathematicians with billions, not millions of dollars at their disposal. So how far have we really come as females? Well, NASA, with pride, announced as part of the Women's History Month, the first time 2 female astronauts, Christina Koch and Anne McClain, would walk in space together as they went outside the International Space Station. Now imagine, these amazing women have to be as smart as all the people who help them go into space. These guys are the best of the best. Then they have to be physically fit, more fitter than most of us, and have an endurance that most of us could never attain. These women would have spent their entire lives getting ready for this momentous moment of not only going into space, which is a great achievement, but actually being the first pair of women to walk in space. It is, after all, 2019, and almost half of the class is comprised of women in NASA now. Women who have already been to space, so the next logical step is, okay, let them walk in space. Check, we've cracked that glass ceiling. Not so fast. They didn't do their joint walk in space, as NASA had originally announced, not because of a technical malfunction or bad weather. They didn't walk in space because, wait for it, there was a wardrobe malfunction. The spacesuits available were designed for men. And McLean did walk in space with a Canadian astronaut yesterday, but that's because there was only one suit. So just imagine you have all of the smartest people who can muster up in one place with so much money to throw at this space mission. You have two very qualified astronauts who happen to be women and who are poised to make a milestone historic moment. So all of these smart people and all of the processes and the thousands of checks and balances that go into going into space couldn't foresee until the last moment that you actually needed two spacesuits that could fit two females. Give me a goddamn break. This incredibly embarrassing and total display of how females are viewed in the world led me to think about, well, what else isn't around for us women as we enter into this planet and make our way? Turns out quite a lot. And I didn't have time before this talk to research everything, but you're going to get my point. Turns out that the very cities we live in have left women behind, as I read in a recent article. Just in how they are designed, for centuries, cities were built mostly by men, for men. It's only now coming to light that the very design of cities does not take into account the needs of females. If men and women need different things from the city and their daily lives and work, the argument goes trying to design a universal every person will subtly disenfranchise half the population, particularly and usually because the default assumptions skew male. The concern plays out specifically when you look at public places. Beyond if the right lighting is in place, if the sightlines and overall design that accommodates females, is the overwhelming notion that at least half of the population do not see themselves in the very cities they inhabit. Not even the street names reflect this population base, as the majority of streets, you guessed it, are named after males. So no wonder females, from the very start, feel uncomfortable, feel like they don't belong, because we don't. We're not counted for, we're not designed for, or accommodated by much. And worse, we're not even as safe as we could be or need to be. Something as simple as a park is in question. The city of Vienna decided to tackle this issue. They found boys and girls used parks differently. Boys tended to colonize the spaces as they got bigger. So the city redesigned the parks to encourage more girls to continue to come. And so, as this happened, as they grew into adulthood, they designed these spaces to ensure there was enough variety, safety, to accommodate all types of people, both genders, wheelchair and stroller accessibility. And it was a huge success. Likewise, another example, Stockholm decided in 2015 that some sidewalks needed to be cleared of snow before actual roads to address vulnerability of pedestrians who were predominantly female. Tim Althoff, an assistant professor of computer science at the University of Washington, found that women took fewer steps each day than men in every one of the 46 countries they studied. This study showed that increase in walkability designs had a greater effect on women's daily step count than men. And this can be achieved with a sound policy in a variety of ways and designs. When you look at these designs and policies from a gender and accessible equal basis. Car safety research, mostly male-focused. Health research, while gaining on the female side, still predominantly male. As Caroline Criado Perez outlines in her new book, Invisible Women, Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men, From development initiatives, designs in everyday lives, to even smartphones, they are developed without taking into account females and our needs. These biases affect women beyond comfort and accessibility. It truly impacts women on a much larger scale. It makes them poorer, it makes them sicker, and we're not even safe. Because of the absence of female data, male data becomes the norm from which the majority of designs, structures, policies, governments, and laws are created. So think about it. If boys are raised in the world that was designed for them, no wonder they have an inner confidence from the start. Now, not all males have this, but the majority of males still dominate society and hold the power in one form or another. And this is communicated to them right from birth as a right, not a privilege, to be here on this planet and to belong. In a recent article by Elizabeth Ranzetti in the Globe and Mail stated, according to experts, the effects of poor design can lead to unsafe places for women. Extensive research indicates that the concern is real, although the tally varies from survey to survey. The overwhelming majority of women will be harassed or menaced on a street at some point in their life. The effects of street harassment is so strong because it can weigh on the mind even when it's not happening, and because it carries with it a fear of escalating situation. Can you hear us? Can you see us? Can you feel what we're feeling? I come as one, but I stand with over 3 billion human beings on this planet, a planet that was not designed for us as females, and a planet that is unsafe. According to an article in The Nation, they reported that every 6.2 minutes a woman is raped in the US, and it's estimated, as most rapes are not reported, it can be at least 5 times as high as this, which means every minute I stand here, a woman is being raped in the US alone. Now think about that and multiply that number around the world. Think about the lives changed through violence and loss as I stand here today delivering this talk. And now think about what women are subjected to on a global scale. The stats would outstrip any war casualty numbers in the world. So how much worse does it have to get to change? The stats are overwhelming around women and violence, especially as their intimate partners or family members cause the majority of their injuries, abuse, or death, often in their own homes. So can you hear us? Can you see us? Can you feel what we're feeling? I come as one, but I stand with these 3 billion females. So I think you get my point. Over 3 billion human beings live in a world that doesn't really accommodate them, understand them, or want them to change. Because it means you change. It means cities change, structures change, systems change, designs change, laws change. And what does that mean? The power shifts. At the current rate, true equality will not happen for 200 years or more, even taking into consideration small progress like the country of Iceland, who became the first country in the world to legalize equality pay between men and women, which only happened this past New Year's Day. Just stop a minute and actually take that in. One small country in the entire world addressed the right for both women and men to be paid equally for the same work. Imagine you have the same qualifications, the same experience, the same skills, and the only reason you make less is, guess, because you're female. At this rate, basic pay equality will take hundreds of years to achieve in the developed world, and that doesn't even take into account the rest of society and the gaps for females. We don't have several hundred years to achieve balance and equality. And I don't know about you, but I don't have one more second to waste. So where to from here? To the 3 billion females, I say the following. Claim your right to be a human being, no exceptions, an equal one. Claim your right to be educated. Be the voice for those that have none or can't have one right now. Demand and work for change and equality everywhere. Support each other. Look at everything in life from the lens of a female, and then challenge the status quo. Confidence and power are not traits you can learn or earn. I've seen very powerful people with a lot of money who actually are insecure and lack confidence. Confidence and power are yours. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You had it all along. Own your power. And if you feel you can't do it anyway and do what the others do. Fake it till you make it. Challenge the status quo. Use your buying power to make a point. Women are making more money, living longer than males, in spite of all the safety hazards, and inheriting their family's wealth. Use your power to help the powerless. Use your voice to help the voiceless. I just became a grandmother 16 months ago. I'll get emotional. And Franklin, literally, he's a fabulous child, but he's one of the greatest joys of my life. Having him changed me, and it made me think as a grandmother, what role do I need to play now in the world that I want to leave for him and his children? Grandmothers, hear me roar. We have arrived at a time in our lives where we shouldn't believe the fairy tale of you are not young enough, you are not pretty enough, you are not relevant. You should retire and retreat because the world belongs to the young and the pretty. I got news for you. Girl, you have it all. Older women have the wisdom of our years, we have power, and we just don't give a damn attitude, which is so freeing. And the passion not to leave a worse world for our children and our grandchildren. So get back in the race, get in the ring, help make the changes we need. Use your influence, your power, if you have wealth, to change before it's too late. To the other 3 billion on the planet, I will leave you with a favorite quote from Mary Robinson, first female president of Ireland, where I'm from. In a society where the rights and potential of women are constrained, no man can be truly free. He may have power, but he will never, ever have freedom. I come as one, but wish to stand equally as a partner with over 6 billion human beings on this planet. Our very future and our freedom depends on this partnership. We have to start now. We have to start somewhere for all our sakes. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Can you feel us? And will you join us? Thank you.